And welcome to the Aaron Katzman Show. I'm your host, Aaron Katzman. We speak to you about your life, your money, and your investments. And as always, we're coming to you the spiritual and soon-to-be financial capital of the world, Jerusalem, Israel. If you got any questions or comments, feel free to email me at Aaron, A-A-R-O-N, at lighthouse with an L, lighthousecapital.co.il. That's Aaron, lighthousecapital.co.il. You can check me out on the web at www.aaronkatzman.com. That's www.aaronkatzman.com. Follow me on Twitter, and of course, be sure to subscribe to our brand new YouTube channel. What an interesting show we have. It's my honor to introduce Joseph Gitler, who's the founder and chairman of Leket Israel, the National Food Bank, who started the organization back in 2003 as a one-man show, right, to respond to the paradox of growing hunger and poverty in Israel on the one hand and significant food waste on the other. Ladies and gentlemen, today, the organization serves more than 175,000 people in Israel weekly. Unbelievable. Joseph has received the coveted Presidential Award for Volunteerism from Shimon Peres, and, almost as important, he is an inaugural 2014 Bonate Sion Prize winner from the great organization of Nefesh B'Nefesh. It's my honor to introduce Joseph Gitler to the show.
Thank you for having me. Nice to see someone who's as excited about their work as I am.
I appreciate it. This will be a high energy interview, I can tell you that much.
You got it. We're going to make it happen.
Tell us a little bit about what Leket is, how you got started, and what it's developed into.
Sure. So traditionally, of course, everything now is a little bit pre-COVID and post-COVID. But for the last 17 years, what Leket is a very simple concept. Those of us fortunate enough to live in Western countries like Israel, we see tremendous waste in all areas of our life. We happen to focus on food. That's on the one hand. And on the other hand, most Western capitalist countries, unfortunately, have not figured out a good way to take care of those at the bottom of the salaries, people earning very low incomes, which has developed tremendously in Israel. As the country's become more successful, many people have been left behind with low incomes, where with the increased cost of living, it's just become very, very hard for them to take care of their families properly. And so what organizations like Leket do in Israel and others in Canada, the US, UK, Australia, etc., do is we try to bridge some of that gap by taking pennies on the dollar in donor and government funds, utilizing them to build up logistics systems, and getting our hands on healthy, nutritious, safe food and transporting it to those who need it. And part of that is helping them just simply save the limited funds they have and then spending it on rent, electricity, and other items which are harder to get help in. So what Leket's done for 17 years is build up this enviable logistics system, which uses our own staff in coordination with about 1,000 volunteers every week working in concert to rescue food from corporate cafeterias and army bases and hotel chains and events on the one hand, and primarily from farmers and kibbutzim and moshavim, getting fruits and vegetables that would go to waste, getting that all together and then transporting it to over 200 agencies that take care of the poor.
Wow. So I know that obviously everybody has suffered, or I should say differently, COVID has presented challenges for many people. And one of the things I've been featuring or speaking about on the show is how people can, as an investor, always, when there's bad things out there, look for opportunity. And I'd like to ask about that, just in terms of the volunteers and your reach. We were looking something for the family to do in the summer. And we saw this call that went out that Leket needed volunteers to help farmers, pick up fruits and vegetables before they went to waste. And we went online to sign up, and then by the time we signed up, it was like a 2-month waiting list. So the power that you have is totally incredible. But could you speak a little bit to the opportunity that you've gotten, that's been created from the challenge, I would say, of
Sure.
COVID?
Sure. Just one comment on the 2-month waiting list. I think, unfortunately, the reason that we do have a pull and we do have 17 years of goodwill, but the reason there were such a large waiting list in volunteering, which continues, is because as opposed to where we normally would get 200 people a day, we've had to limit that severely, unfortunately. And that's added expense to Leket because we've had to bring in additional staff members. We need to keep our staff safe. The worst nightmare for us is having to shut down our warehouse and then not be able to deliver food to those who need it. And as we both know, there are many more of them right now. So on the demand side, as we can imagine, 4% unemployment in the beginning of March, that's around 21% now, means a lot more people are asking us for support. On the supply side, and by the way, there's always demand. It doesn't matter, whether it be people watching this show who give away money or people who give away food, a demand for something that's for free is always going to be endless, okay? And we're never going to reach all the needs that we have. And I understand that, but that's what keeps the organization pushing forward because we need to get to as many people as we can. The two major changes which have happened to us and which we need to seize the opportunities have happened in our two core projects. So on the one hand, the positive for us, less positive for some in the farming community, is that because of the closure of event halls and hotels and corporate cafeterias, now some of them are open, but maybe work lower flame, it's created huge amounts of fruits and vegetables, way more than are normally made accessible to us, available. Okay, so the challenge for us is when they're left in the fields and we can't have as many volunteers. So we've had to hire additional staff to pick them. But when they're already picked and they're in a packing house and they just need us to pick them up, it's created tremendous opportunity. So we've reallocated some resource for additional outsourced trucking, for additional staff, for additional refrigeration. And just in the months, for example, of June and July, we collected over 5,000 tons of fruits and vegetables, when normally in those months we do anywhere between 3,500 and 4,000 tons. So big increases in the amounts we're distributing. The impact on the farmers, of course, is sad, but farmers are always thrilled if they can't sell their crops, then at least they're going somewhere that they can help people in need. So that's one, for us, that's been the profitable opportunity, if we can call it that, or as we talked before the call, that's our investment in Tesla or Amazon over the past few months, which I wish I had done. I wish I'd taken our donor money and put the money there. We would never do that. We're not allowed. But how great would it be to tell our donors, great, we don't need money from you now. We doubled your money in the markets, but we're not allowed to do things like that because what goes up sometimes does come down. So that's one of the more difficult, if we can call it, opportunity where we've really had to pivot and change what we do, has been the flip side, which is normally Leket distributes, rescues, and redistributes about 10,000 cooked meals a day that we get for the same aforementioned places. That went on March 1st, 10,000. By March 15th, that was 0. Now that's up to about 4,000. So we're still down 60%, which is very, very painful for us, especially in time of increased requests. So what we've been doing since the middle of March is campaigning to our donors, to Israeli corporations, to our donors overseas as well, saying to them, Leket needs to do things differently. Yes, you give to us because we're a food rescue organization, but right now, for the time being, we're actually purchasing meals from the same places that normally give us food for free. We're purchasing meals from them at very low prices in order to feed the poor, but also importantly, to keep small businesses going, which again, that's not, you won't find that when you walk into the Leket office, that's not on our list of goals. But I'm very pleased to tell you that thousands and thousands of Israelis have kept their jobs in catering and hotels and restaurants because of the generosity, the millions of dollars that Leket donors poured into our coffers over the last few months, which then 100% of that was used to purchase meals from these types of institutions. So that's been really, really fantastic.
That's really cool. How can people get a hold of you?
So personally, email, probably is the best, Joseph, Joseph, @ Leket, Leket, leket.org. Please reach out to me for whatever it is. I'm here to answer questions.
And obviously people want to donate also at the Leket website. They can figure out a way to do that.
Leket website. We are tax deductible in Israel, the US, Canada, Australia, the UK, France, and other places. We have partnerships in places pretty much anywhere someone needs a tax deduction. We take cash, we take stocks and bonds. If someone wants to donate their house to us, we will be happy to take that as well.
It's the Aaron Katzman Show. I'm your host, Aaron Katzman, here to speak to you about your life, your money, and your investments. If you got any questions or comments, feel free to email me at Aaron, AARON, at Lighthouse with an L, lighthousecapital.co.il. You can check me out on the web at www.aaronkatzman.com. That's www.aaronkatzman.com. Follow me on Twitter, and of course, be sure to subscribe to the brand new YouTube channel. We're speaking with Joseph Gitler, who's the founder and chairman of Leket Israel, which is the National Food Bank of Israel. And we've spoken until now about what Leket is, what the challenges are right now for the organization during a time where there's, let's say, decreased supply and tremendous increased demand, because with, what's going on with COVID, obviously unemployment is in double digits, and in 6 months the economic situation globally has gone from almost euphoria to chaos, and obviously the challenges on a food bank that would bring. But I'd like to sort of pivot and speak about, where do you sort of see the organization moving once we get past COVID?
Right, so that's, of course, man, I'm not a long-term prognosticator, but it sure feels like that. I mean, one of the things I've been saying is, if I knew how long this was going to go on for, I would have been much more careful. Between the months of March and June, we were buying 8,000 to 12,000 meals every single day.
Wow.
And if I knew that this little bugger was going to go on for so much longer, I think we would have spread it out longer, because of, and this is part of the answer to your long-term question, is that we are very concerned about long-term supports. Right now things are feeling pretty good, though. Obviously the larger donors to Leket are most likely doing okay as the stocks have come back. So maybe they're feeling a little better than they were a few months ago. But things like government support in the long term, with our government printing money and the US government printing money, eventually the what do they say? The piper comes to roost. Eventually this is all going to have to get paid for. And so it's a very I'm not nervous right now. But I'm trying to balance, and that's really the struggle we're having. In fact, our CEO today sent out an email and said, this might sound strange. He said, but I think we haven't done a long-term planning process in 5 years, and maybe during the middle of COVID, it might seem like the wrong time. He said, I feel like it's the right time. So, I may not have a concrete answer for you, but I can say as follows. I'm trying to balance the tremendous stress and demand on our system right now, which we imagine will continue for the next few months, certainly as the holidays.
Okay, and I want to apologize to everybody, the viewers. We had a little bit of a technical glitch. We're speaking with Joseph Gitler, the founder of Leket, the Israel National Food Bank. And you were in the middle of we were speaking about sort of the future, and you said you didn't really want to talk too much about the future, because even, the Israeli economists, even the most optimistic case, are talking about double-digit employment into the first half of 2021. And obviously that then presents its own challenges for your organization, as you already spoke about. But beyond that, like, if we get back to some kind of normalcy, do you see any opportunity out there in things which are not, where there is a big need and nobody's really filling that need right now?
Well, I think for us, I see a couple of things that are going to be in the longer term. One that we spoke about already, which is the continued purchase of meals and trying to keep businesses going. I just got a report during our technical glitches that we've purchased over 15,000 meals from restaurants.
Wow.
Over the last 2 weeks all over the country. And that's such a great thing to be doing, because we're keeping people working and feeding the poor at the same time. One new initiative that we've started, which is, it's less about filling an unseen gap and more about making better use of the crops that Leket gets, is actually we just did a pilot over the last few weeks where we had massive amounts of carrots and tomatoes and other vegetables, where instead of just delivering them in their raw state, which is what Leket normally does, we actually went to a struggling producer who makes salads, and for a very small amount, because at the end of the day, we provided most of the product. He provided the know-how and power of the machinery. He made, a few tons of salads for us, which were then packaged either in large containers to go to places like soup kitchens, or in smaller containers, which will then get delivered to people's homes. And so that's a way, I think, of us taking the food that we get and adding some value to it, which we've always talked about doing. And now, because of the massive amounts that we're getting, so push has come to shove, and so we're doing it. So that's one new thing that we're doing now. Outside of that, we need to ramp up, and that's really the main goal. And that's what I'm pushing and hoping people who are hearing this will say, Leket sounds like a well-run organization, a little bit interesting, different. And I think what people, especially kind of people who will watch your show, will appreciate is that, we're very well leveraged, okay? And so historically, for every dollar we spend, we bring in about $5 worth of food. So those who support Leket, if you think about it, so you're giving Leket $1. We have over 100 employees who are getting a living wage. We're hosting tens of thousands of volunteers a year. And by the way, we're also feeding about 200,000 needy Israelis every single week. Not all the food they need, but something very, very significant is coming to help them, meet their food needs.
Okay, that's great. That's really interesting. Like that many people you're feeding every week?
Because it's hard for lay people, including myself, to understand what it means. Right now we're on pace. Let me just do the numbers in my head. We'll probably do about 1 million pounds of fruits and vegetables a week this year. Okay, so 1 million pounds times 200,000 means we're giving 5 pounds to 200,000 people a week. My numbers aren't perfect, but
right.
Yes, 1 million divided by that number's right.
Right, that's amazing.
I'm not good at math.
Wow.
But and not everyone gets fruits and vegetables. Some people get cooked food, some people get fruits and vegetables, some people get both. It's really a mix, but
that's incredible.
We know that we're feeding those agencies and they are taking care of that many people.
Amazing. Joseph Gitler, that he is the founder of Leket, the Israel National Food Bank. Once again, how can people get a hold of you? How can they donate if they want to?
Okay, so to get a hold of me, send me an email, and then I'll give you a call if it's something we need to talk about. JOSEPH@LEKET.org. That's Joseph@leket.org. That's how you can get in touch with me. And then I would say the best way, if you want to support us financially as a volunteer or just learn more about what we do, our website, www.leket.org. Very robust website. It's actually the 4th website we've built since we've started. Hopefully this one people like. It's got lots of information, how to make financial donations from many, many places throughout the world. And most important, I really hope we're going to see our diaspora friends back in Israel very, very soon. We miss you all, and I miss seeing you all in the fields. I don't go to the fields anymore because you guys don't come. Plus, I'm in quarantine right now. So I am bound to my home.
That works. Thank you so much for being part of the show.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
You're watching the Aaron Katzman Show. I'm your host, Aaron Katzman, who speaks to you about your life, your money, and your investments. If you got any questions or comments, feel free to email me at Aaron, AARON, @lighthousecapital.co.il. You can check me on the web at www.aaronkatzman.com. That's www.aaronkatzman.com. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and, of course, subscribe to our brand new YouTube channel. We will see you soon.